subscribe to my channel and press bell icon for latest updates.
Hi, welcome to Learning Monkey. I am Vikram. In this class we will start a new section called physical database design. So in our previous classes we have covered a section called normalization. There we have discussed how the tables will get normalized. So all those concepts has been discussed in our previous section. So this class is a first class for the new section called physical database design. So this is the first class for this section. So what this section deals with, so what this physical database design will deal with is, so how the memory will, so organization of database in storage. So physical database design is going to deal with these two concepts. So what are those concepts is organization of database in storage, techniques for accessing them efficiently using various algorithms. So what does it mean? What does it mean is, so far we have covered nearly 90 to 100 videos. In all those videos we have visualized the data. So the database, the collection of tables in the database as a table. So the collection of relations in a database we have visualized so far as tables. So these are tables and it is having some column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, and it is row 1, 2 row, so sorry, it is first row, and similarly we have seen this kind of visualization. So it is having some data in the form of rows and columns, but how that content, so this is our visualization, but how these tables will get stored on the computer? Will they get stored in this way, columns and rows, and in this way will they get stored as this table structure? No. So the visualization of the memory, so which means the storage of these tables onto the memory is going to be in a different way. So there are different data structures that are used for the organization of a database in the storage. So we are going to understand what are the different types of data structures that are used by the database management system to store these tables onto the memory. So how these tables will get stored on the memory, that we are going to understand in this section. Apart from that, what we are going to understand is techniques for accessing them efficiently using various algorithms. So how the data that is stored on the memory is getting accessed. So we are getting the data very fastly. So if you just type the query and just press enter, where we have covered all those concepts in SQL. So there and we have seen the practical approach on the computer also. The data that is stored on the memory, we are getting the data very fastly. So how that is happening? So how that is happening, and how the data how the data on the tables will get accessed, how the data that is stored on the memory will get accessed, that is also we will try to understand in this class. So they are the techniques for accessing them efficiently using various algorithms. So these are the two subdivisions in the physical database design that we are going to understand in this entire section. So coming to this class, we will try to understand memory hierarchies and storage devices. So what is this memory hierarchy and storage devices? So what are the different kinds of memories that are available on a computer? So just try to think of it. So they are RAM, cache memory, hard disk, CD, DVD. So have you heard of these terms? So you have heard, I think so, because these are the different types of memories that are available on the computer. Why these many number of memories are required? What is that which is different, which is bringing these differentiations among the memories? So it is cost. it is speed, it is, so there are many factors depending on which we are able to listen to these different kinds of memories, like RAM, ROM, cache memory, magnetic discs, CDs and DVDs. So each and every one is having its own advantage and its own disadvantage. So there are different kinds of storage mediums, and the entire storage medium that is used on a computer is categorized into two. So what those are? So this is one category, these two come under one category, and this will come under another category. It is primary memory. Primary memory is one category, and the next one is secondary and tertiary memory. Okay, so these are the categories. So what's making the difference? So what difference does these two is having, and that we will try to understand first, and later we will try to understand the memory hierarchy, how the memory will get organized in a computer, that we will try to understand. So this is what we call it as primary memory, which under this category we are having two different types of memory. It is main memory and cache memory. So have you heard of this main memory called RAM? Have you ever heard of this word called RAM? Random access memory. So whenever we try to buy a mobile, what is that we are going to check for? We will check for whether it is 6 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM. So what does it mean? So if it is 6 GB RAM, the mobile is going to be more faster and it is going to be costlier. Okay, and the fast in which the CPU will get work, so that is what we call it as a primary memory. So these are the two memories, which are directly accessed by CPU. These are the categories which will not be directly accessed by the CPU. Okay, so the central processing unit, so we call it as processor. So the processor is known about only RAM and cache memory. So the main memory is also called as RAM. So it is known of, the CPU is known of only main memory and cache memory. So CPU does not know the existence of secondary memory like hard disk. Hard disk is a device which is available on a computer, and it is having larger capacity of storage, but it is very slow. So that is the reason. So under the second category of memory, we will come across with magnetic disks and CDs. So these days we are not using these CDs and DVDs for the storage, where those days where the hard disk is very costly. In those days we used to have these CDs and DVDs, and these CDs and DVDs were slowly going out of the existence. So we frequently were using this word called magnetic disk or hard disk. It is also called as hard disk. This is also what we call it as secondary memory. Okay, so these are the different types of memory, and the different types of memory on a computer are categorized into two. It is primary memory and secondary memory. So what is the hierarchy of the memory? Memory hierarchies means how these memories are organized on a computer. So that we will try to understand. So if you take CPU is the central processing unit to which it is directly attached with. So to the CPU, what is the memory which is directly associated with is it is cache memory, and later and after that in the hierarchy it is going to have RAM. It is also called as main memory, and after that in the hierarchy means top down approach. So it is from top to bottom. So it is, and after that we are going to have a memory called hard disk. This is also called as secondary memory. So databases are physically stored as files of records on magnetic disks. So the databases are stored as files of records, files of rows. As the files of rows, the databases are stored on the magnetic disks. Okay, so for example, if you take the storage of details of all the people in the country about the Aadhaar number, so can you guess how many records there will be? There will be nearly millions of records, and those millions of records will get stored in a device called hard disk. So from that we are going to fetch the data, and the data will get stored in RAM, and that RAM some amount of data will get stored in cache. Whenever there is a need of data to get processed, so the data has to be processed. Who is going to process that? It is processed by CPU. So the CPU is going to fetch the data from cache memory. If the data is not available on the cache memory, what it will do is it will ask for RAM to get the data. So the RAM will provide the data to the cache memory. If the data is not there on the RAM, so the RAM, it is the job of the so we are going to fetch the data from the hard disk, and that big data that is stored on the hard disk will get, so some part of the data will get stored on the RAM, and it will get stored onto the cache memory. So whenever there is a need of CPU, but the CPU will be in contact with either cache memory or RAM. If the data is not available on the cache memory, it is going to ask for RAM. Okay, if it is not there on the RAM, so we are going to fetch the data from the hard disk, and the next portion of the data will get stored onto the RAM. So this is how the things will get processed on the computer. So the clear description about these concepts was clearly made in our computer organization course. So this is the hierarchy of the memory: hard disk, main memory, and cache memory. So this is how the things will work. Now in the next class we will try to understand how the organization of the database is done on the storage, and next we will try to understand the techniques to access those data very efficiently using various algorithms. Hope you got the clarity on this concept. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and press bell icon for the latest updates. And if you have any doubts regarding this concept, please post your doubt in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.